President Trump's policies are working to make Americans' Thanksgiving more affordable this year, from their commute to the dinner table. Nearly 100 million Americans are expected to drive next week to spend time with loved ones for the holiday. And thanks to President Trump's drill baby drill agenda, the national average price of a gallon of gas on Thanksgiving Day is projected to be at the cheapest price since the COVID pandemic in 2021. President Trump is bringing down gas prices and providing significant savings to American families at the pump. And again, we expect those prices to continue to decline. According to the American Farm Bureau Federation's annual survey, cooking Thanksgiving dinner will also cost less this year than it did last year and is down about 5% overall. The average price for a staple of the meal, a 16-pound frozen turkey, is down more than 16% from last year, which will provide critical savings for families and their budgets. President Trump's entire economic agenda is aimed at putting more money back into the pockets of hardworking Americans. That's why he signed the largest middle tax cuts in history into law, from no tax on overtime, no tax on tips, to no tax on Social Security. And according to a new study from Piper Sandler, which is out this week, tax filers can expect an extra $1,000 bump to their tax refund next year, and what could be a record-breaking tax refund season. So there is more good news to come. We know these refunds will make a huge difference for Americans to help pay down their bills and use towards life's expenses.
Prices are up in the United States for coffee. It's up almost 20%. Utility up 11.7%. And then electricity is up 5.1%, and vehicle repair, if you need your car fixed, it's up 11.5%.
We're in a cost of living crisis, Dana. I think everybody knows it. We speak to more than 18 million Americans every single week on The Ramsey Show, and I am hearing firsthand, yes, the price of housing, rent, mortgages, they're a problem. Obviously, we know that healthcare has gone up 6 to 7%. I spoke to a woman the other day. The price of her healthcare is going from $400 to $900. Of course, that's more than 6 to 7%. And then, of course, we're finding things like daycare, obviously food. It's so expensive. The average American, as a result, is going into debt. And we're seeing more debt on consumers than ever. $103,000 of consumer debt is what Americans are paying because these big three are still continuing to eat at our wallets. Credit cards, student loans, car payments. Dana, it really is a crisis.
I mean, just your costs are up versus a year ago. Groceries, 85%. Utilities, 78%. Healthcare, 67%. Housing, 66%. Gasoline, 54%. The bottom line is this. Americans feel like prices are rising in each and every single part of their lives, rising ever climber, and they just don't feel like, Kate Baldwin, that they can catch a break.
The Treasury Secretary in new comments kind of dismissed the impact tariffs is having on inflation, also saying that prices are going to be coming down in weeks. Some other prices are going to be coming down in months. What do Americans think about that?
Yeah, they think he's full of it. That's exactly what they think. I mean, just take a look here. Tariffs raising prices right now. I'm going to come over Kate's side of the screen, 71%.
How dare you?
How dare I do that? 84% of Democrats, 74% of independents, and even a majority of Republicans. When you can get a majority of Republicans to agree with majority of Democrats, you know that the pain is being felt by the American public right now. The Treasury Secretary can try and tell the people something, but they can feel in their pocketbooks. They simply put, don't buy what he and this administration is selling them when it comes to tariffs. I want to quote Judge Judy, but I'm not going to. I'm merely going to try and say that it's like they're trying to sell ice up at the North Pole when it comes to this. More responsible for the current economy. 62% of Americans say it's Donald Trump. Just 32% say it's Joe Biden. Look, Donald Trump did, in fact, inherit an economy from Joe Biden. But now we are nearly a year into the Donald Trump administration. If the Trump administration is trying to push the book over there, they simply put, the American folks aren't buying it. They say at this point it is Donald Trump's economy, and what is happening in terms of inflation is his responsibility.
You see the administration getting down to 2% with inflation, or the Fed, whoever you give it credit to?
Well, I really appreciate the question. The structure of what's happening is incredibly positive. Inflation, the latest numbers were down to 2.9%. To your point, after having been at a high of 9%, average of 5% in Joe Biden, we're already down to 2.9%.
That was about where it was when Biden left, though.
Well, that's right, but it's continuing to come down. We've seen food prices come down. The average Thanksgiving meal is down about 5%. Now, turkey's down 17%, dinner rolls are down 22%. So we have some really good numbers there. You see the job numbers at an incredible 2.5 million American-born citizens now are employed that weren't under Biden. The mortgage rates are now down about $200 on average per month, and making a lot of progress on housing, which is about 40% of the average Americans spend out of pocket every year.
But a lot of it's flat.
So those numbers are very positive.
You have to
gotta
look
be
forward
patient.
and think it's going to be 2000. I think Secretary Bessent is saying that it's set up for lower, because I think 2.9 might actually have ticked, or 3% has ticked up a little from when the president took over. So that's where people, I think, are still feeling the pinch of higher prices, although wages at least are going up. Real wages did not rise during the Biden
Wages
administration.
are rising at their fastest rate in 60 years over the last 10 months. I mean, these are remarkable numbers. But here's the thing, and I think Secretary Bessent said this too, we're not going to tell the American people how to feel.
Right.
We're not going to be the Biden administration where we say, oh, but actually you feel good. And they say, no, we're spending more on milk and eggs than we ever have, and our mortgage rates have gone up. This is not what we're doing.
You don't understand how good you have it. I believe by the fourth quarter, we're going to see a substantial acceleration.
Moody's Analytics chief economist saying he's crunched some numbers, and based on those numbers, you've got 22 states. You're talking about almost half of the country that's right now in a recession, according to this data, or on the precipice of one.
In the fourth quarter of 2025, this economy is going to be humming.
Actually, all of agriculture is struggling right now. It's more than just us on the row crop side. According to the University of Illinois, every farmer is going to lose about $100 an acre.
So I would expect fourth quarter, we are going to see a substantial acceleration.
John Deere is laying off people, and Case IH is laying off people. And that's all due because of the fact that we have no income.
Okay, the Donald Trump economy. We own the economy in the fourth quarter.
U.S. consumer inflation accelerates. Weekly jobless claims approach a 4-year high. Axios reported that, quote, grocery inflation is the highest since 2022.
I think we're going to really pick up in the fourth quarter.
The latest employment snapshot from the Bureau of Labor Statistics paints a bleak picture. Only 22,000 jobs were added in August, and black unemployment reached 7.5%. Its highest level since October of 2021.
I think we're going to see it in the economic numbers in the third and fourth quarter.
In the third and fourth quarter of this year?
Yep.
That's fascinating.
Announced corporate job cuts, Andrew, in the U.S. surging past 1 million so far this year.
He said you ain't seen nothing yet. I think we're just going to accelerate third, fourth quarter.
With 153,000 new layoffs announced just in October, according to Challenger, that is the worst October since 2003.
In the fourth quarter, you will feel the power of Donald Trump's economy.
The Trump administration is doing everything they can to convince Americans that Donald Trump is reducing costs and making everything 50% more affordable and bringing down the price of prescription by 1,500%, 700%, 1,400%, 1,200%. But of course, the numbers just aren't actually adding up in real life. You know, in politics and in life, there's ways to spin and gaslight for pretty much anything. But what you can't gaslight and spin is the amount of money that people are actually paying when they go to the grocery store. Donald Trump, in an interview recently, you know, when they asked about rising prices with Laura Ingraham, he was like, no, actually, everything's cheaper. Energy's down. The prices of groceries are down. Nobody ever thought of the word grocery until I wanted 2024. In fact, I went to the grocery store and there was bacon and there were eggs and they're cheaper than they've ever been in American history. You know, that type of stuff is what he's saying. But in reality, we know the tariffs are driving up costs of pretty much everything. That's why he reversed some of the tariffs in a grand admission of defeat. On top of him destroying our relations with absolutely everybody, messing up the SNAP program, cutting taxes for billionaires and corporations yet again. You know what I'm saying? None of these things are actually panning through. So any type of big gains in terms of spending that happen over the holidays is going to be because people are spending it on credit. And that's not new. People have been doing that. But the economy's not in good shape. People are losing their jobs all over the country. Big corporations are laying off people by the thousands and preparing for the crash. But nah, man, you can't make people think that they're not spending as much money as they are, because when they go to look at their bank accounts, there's barely anything there.